Hey, good evening, everybody. Look at this. It's you get two for the price of one this evening. Bill and Kazra hanging out, doing an interview in a little bit. I tried being 15 seconds early today, Kazra, but I found out it actually takes 20 seconds to actually set everything up and start the show. Tomorrow I'll try to do that. Throw people off.
When you said, "Hey, look at this," I thought it was because we're on time. I didn't think it was because I was here.
Well, we were literally right on time. This thing started
Nice.
right at the exact moment it's supposed to, which never happens. So, yeah. So that might be a foreboding for the rest of the show. I don't know.
I was just looking at an email from Bob Layton. He manages to disrupt everything.
I know. I forwarded one to you. He emailed me too.
Yeah, that's what I got. I mean,
oh, you got the forwarded one. Yeah. Right. How does he email me 5 minutes before a show starts and ask me a question about something I don't know, a thing that he's talking about?
Because he knew we'd bring it up on here and make a shtick out of it. Sometimes Korea isn't far enough away, Bob.
Well, so as everybody may or may not know, we had Jose lined up. I was dropping Jose's name for the last 6 weeks about having him on this evening, and then at the last minute, Jose had a business trip. I don't know if he's at the same business trip where James Siegel is at. I mean, literally, James looks like he's at a prize fight in the middle of the country somewhere. And apparently, like Ryan Reynolds is going to be a guest speaker. I don't know if it's a Cisco show or whatever, but if he's there, he's a lucky man. So, but tonight we have a collector, Matt Fuller, that probably not many folks in the chat are aware of, and it's a great stand-in. As far as I'm concerned, it's on. I think the
improvement. It's a big improvement.
Absolutely. All right. I didn't want to put any pressure on Matt, but let's bring Matt in here now that the weight of the world is on his shoulders. Hey, Matt.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, it's Matt, not Jose. Right.
I figured I got to get that out of the way right off the bat,
Yes, indeed. So welcome to the show, Matt. I mean, we were talking about your amazing space there, and the one thing I know before anybody asks about it, those paintings on the doors, the double doors. How do you do it, and how do they not fall off when people enter and leave your room?
So I've been experimenting. So usually they don't fall, but they do move. So I've got little putty down on the bottom corners to try and keep them still.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, that tells you how desperate I am for space in here. I built this just for this purpose, and I filled it up way too quickly, and now I need a new room.
I use the command strips, though. The command hooks. That brand that you can get at stores.
Yep.
So the adhesive on the surface is it bonds incredibly well, and then it has like a Velcro interaction. So if you have a frame that's even as much as 10 pounds, and you put one at the top and one on the bottom, depending on the width in the four corners, it will not move at all. I had one on the door of my place, our last place we lived in for 2 years, and it was totally safe. And I slammed that door because it was during the pandemic, so there's no problems.
Oh, I'm super paranoid about that door, but I also try not to go in there because the reason this space looks half decent is because you ever see those things where they open the closet and everything falls out on them? That's sort of what that is.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. Now I'm a little confused. Kazra, you have hung artwork on doors before.
That's literally what I was just describing.
I understand that. I'm just in shock. I've never.
I have a Modoc painting that was made to look like Rembrandt right here, chiaroscuro style Rembrandt painting from the 1600s on my door right here. Now, like Matt, I don't like opening that door, but the other place with the strips, when I did that, it was no problem at all. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's at some point, I think I need a designer in here because as I look at it, I just noticed the one back in this corner. It's doing that little zigzag up and away. I didn't really intend for it to do that, but
Matt's handle, just so everyone knows, is OCD Marvel Sketch Cards. OCD Marvel Sketch Cards. Okay. Yeah. If you go to his house and you tell him that something is a little off angle, you're going to start 15 minutes late.
Yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, I see you have that drop ceiling, and maybe you could remove that and add another row of art in some way.
Just hang them down and kind of dodge between them.
Yeah, why not? Maybe there's rafters up there or something. There's bound to be a way. And I see room down there by the baseboards too. So
I do have one or two that are pretty low over there. So
Matt's already angling for some giveaways tonight.
I usually do giveaways on
menu.
the lives I do with Lewis and even on Whatnot. So yeah, the lives and my trademarked screaming goat. That's how you know you win a giveaway with me.
That's a great sign off. Yeah. And look, he's asking a second time. Wow.
We'll figure something out. Oh, there's always room for a giveaway.
And we can work something out anytime.
Yeah, Marcus is on point already tonight too.
Yeah, I see that. Good thing. Always great to have Marcus in the chat. So let's, Matt, we always start off kind of in the same thing, and we probably should. We should break the chain at some point. But clearly you've got an eye for art. I mean, when you sent us the set of artworks that you have, it's a very sophisticated eye. A lot of painting, a lot of colored stuff. Even if it's the sketch card, there's things in there that may or may not, in like several cases, like catch a collector's eye and make it be a piece that they think they would want. But boy, you've got a great eye for art. I'm just kind of curious, how long have you been collecting OA, and what was, how did you get started? What was the impetus for even getting your first piece of art?
So first sketch card was back in, I want to say 2010, 2011 or so. I had been through a couple different iterations of collecting different stuff. Like I started with rock posters, like classic 60s and 70s rock posters. Mm-hmm. And I pivoted to autograph cards, and that's what really got me into the card space. And then when I was collecting Lord of the Rings autograph cards, I came across one of the sets where I hit a sketch card, and it was just sort of this moment of, what is this? This whole concept of a piece of original art. And I was just hooked from that point on. And Lord of the Rings sketches were my poison for years and years and years. And the old top sets, there were some stunning pieces of little sketch art in there. Amazing artists they picked. And through the three sets, it was also the time we saw the evolution of sketch cards, where early on they were all pencils in the first Lord of the Rings Evolution set. Then they started adding color in Masterpieces 1, and then they were heavy into color in Masterpieces 2. And that's sort of when that whole transition sort of happened, where they moved from true sketches to more just little pieces of art. And it's just been all either uphill or downhill, depending on your perspective from there. From my wallet's perspective, downhill.
They didn't stop making Lord of the Ring cards, did they?
So as far as sketches, they stopped in 2008. That's when Topps did the last Masterpieces 2 set. And then it wasn't until either 14 or 15 when Cryptozoic had the license, and they did 3 Hobbit sets. And then in 2022, I believe, 23 maybe, Cryptozoic did another one, Middle Earth set. So there have been 7 sets of Middle Earth with sketch cards so far.
Did they draw you back in?
Oh God, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I went heavy on the Hobbit, but it is funny, over time, collections change, and I would say a few years ago, because I had Lord of the Rings, I had Marvel, but then I had a little smattering of DC. I had Rick and Morty. I had Walking Dead. I had a whole bunch, and I was just spreading myself too thin. Like Bilbo would say, like butter spread over too much toast. So I forced myself just to go with 2 IPs, and I sold all of the other ones off. It's really just Lord of the Rings and Marvel now.
Yeah.
Do you still have that first card?
The first, of course I do. Oh God, yeah. My first card I will never get rid of. And I should have brought, it's nothing spectacular. It's a sketch of the Tree of Gondor. Just that white dead tree, but they did it with like white paint. So when I even pulled it, I felt the texture and that tactile. I think that's what really hooked me. I think if I pulled a different sketch, actually there were 2 in there. If I pulled the second one first, might not have had the impact it did because there were 2 in that box. But since I pulled that one, it just got my attention. Like, what is going on here? And yeah, it is funny how something little like that can start an absolute obsession.
Oh yeah.
Which 15 years later almost. Jeez.
Well, it's we all get smitten by it. I think if we're in the hobby for any length of time, that first one is the thing that kind of tips you immediately. I don't even remember when I've interviewed you, Kazra. I don't remember your first piece of art, but
Sam Keith.
Yeah, that's a pretty good place to start.
Yeah, Albert Moy, Sam Keith, Hulk and Wolvie series, sometime around 2002 or 3. Yeah, and I never bought another piece from Albert again. Not to say there's anything wrong with Albert. I won't say that. The chat might say that, but my brother and I probably bought 15 pages. We just were drunk sailors after that first shipment came in. Then from there, all hell broke loose. Yeah, and I had no idea who Sam Keith was.
Just liked it.
It was glorious. That book series, I guess, in a way, got me back into comics for the 3rd time. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. I think probably everyone in chat has had that sort of up and down pattern with comics, right? I don't know anyone who has collected comics as a kid and then gone straight through, right? There's always at least that wall around, 18 to 25, whether it's college or girls or just it's not cool.
Or Heroes Reborn. Yeah, something that just makes you stop dead in your tracks and go, "This is crap." Yeah, yeah.
But Matt got turned on to it because he actually had the thing in his hand. Did you buy your art at a show, Kazra, such that it was in front of you? It wasn't something you saw online?
No, it was my brother who saw it, and he said, "Hey, do you know that there's original art for comics?" And I went, "What the hell are you talking about?" And then I had the dumbest human being in the world feeling that it took until I was however many years old to figure it out. Actually, it was figured out for me. And then we were at San Diego a couple of months later, and that's when I first saw art in person, other than the package from Albert. Mm-hmm. And it was Scott Eder and Mitch over at Graphic Collectibles, as much as anything, that made sure that my life would be hell for the following 20 years, leading to comic art
up to this moment. But I think that as far as stories go, think about this. This is the first time that we can say literally that somebody was holding that first piece of art in their hand, and that's the thing that tipped the scale. I mean, it doesn't happen. I mean, sketch cards give people that opportunity, and they certainly weren't there 30, 40 years ago. So this is something that's more of a new occurrence. We can look at the sketch cards that are in packs that collectors are picking up as something that can influence their future collecting, get them into collecting. Matt, I'm assuming, you were into cards for a while and eventually you gravitated to other things. I mean, how did you go from sketch cards to where you're at today, which seems to be a real healthy mix of a lot of different types of OA collecting?
I think what really did it for me, and unlike a lot of people, I've probably only been collecting larger piece, like original art, either comic or trading cards, since really 2018. And it was Masterpieces 18 that really did it. I collected the Just Go's 2016 set heavily. I loved those sketch cards. So I was super excited about 18. And just seeing the artwork that Simone did for the set, just something about it. And then seeing the opportunity, because of MCCW and a lot of the Facebook groups, just getting that interaction with other collectors and artists that you couldn't get back in the day, right? I mean, Scoundrel was great, but you just weren't really having those same interactions like you do these days on social media. And Simone piece was my very first piece. And it's funny, I sort of went through probably another pattern that a lot of artists do. Like, I wanted that first piece, so I wasn't, and it's not to say it's a bad piece, but it wasn't a piece that really fits in what I wanted to collect, but I just wanted to have one. So I got, his very first piece I got was the Wrecker from 2018. And again, it's like, I mean, I actually enjoyed the comics. I thought they were a great Thor villain, so I knew the Wrecking Crew. But my first OA is this slightly overweight guy with a crowbar. So it's like, you learn as you start to collect these things. He's sitting right over there staring at me too.
Better than Spot.
Yeah. Oh wow! Oh, Norton's not going to like that. And then once, it's one of those things, same with sketches, and you guys know this, once you take that first bite or that first hit, it's all over from there. And from that one piece, I think I'm up to about 80 now, 6 years later.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know it was that many. You don't, I don't know. Not that you're hiding it or anything, but you don't really advertise that. That's not like one of the things that you show very often. Yeah. It's like,
no, I mean,
it's one like, oh, I've owned this piece for 2 years and the cards finally came out today. And you're like grinning like like a new dad or something, and you show a piece. That's what I've seen.
Right. I've got a couple paintings right up there, right behind the camera, that I'm waiting for those card sets to come out. Yeah.
I think we're gonna see we're gonna see a Bianchi tonight. If I remember right, you had that Bianchi for a long time prior to that card.
Yeah. It was about 3 years before the set finally came out. And when it did come out, I wasn't expecting it in that set. I was watching a live break and it pulled. I'm like, wait a minute.
I'm sure you and Simone both didn't expect it. They're so good at communication, those big companies, aren't they?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, and now apparently we're going to an even bigger company. So we'll see if it gets any better.
Bill, one of the things about Matt, one of the areas of card collecting that I dove deepest in, because it most resonated with me, were character collectors. Mm-hmm. And in the card world, that is a real thing. It's a practical thing too. Although when you're a character collector, you might be like, why the hell did I ever decide to do this? But compared to base sets and parallels and inserts and all the other stuff that happens, and Matt, you've got Danny Moonstar is yours.
Yep.
Yeah. And that'd be another question then. There's so many. You're well versed in multiple universes here. Now, why Danny? I mean, did you get New Mutants when it came out? You're of an age where that was possible, right?
I mean, if you go back to my origin story with comic books, my prime. I mean, I started probably when I was 6 or 7. My first one was Star Wars, because the movie came out, then the comic. And the toys. I mean, that was sort of the all media experience. But my kind of prime years were like 81 to 87, so sort of 10 to 15 or 16. And that's really a function of the fact that, I mean, you want to talk about a dated
That's
sentence.
The rise of Sienkiewicz years,
yes.
81 to 87.
Yep.
Right?
And that was, I mean, I had a paper route, right? That's a totally anachronistic sentence right there, right? Like I called them up on the rotary phone kind of thing. But having money to spend and having a relatively local comic store, it was amazing. I mean, that was, X-Men was in like the 140s. New Mutants came out the next year, I think in 82. A year and a half later, Sienkiewicz did his run, and that's really, what hit it for me, right? When I was 12 or 13, all of a sudden, this guy with this unbelievable art style comes out, has this whack-a-mole story about a demonic bear, and I was all in for it. I was hooked.
Yeah, as many of us were.
Yeah, I never seen any art like that. I mean, up until that point, Ramada Jr. was probably my favorite. I loved his crosshatch work, that, and then.
But why Danny? Where? I mean, Danny's prominent in that story.
Yeah, it was really tied to that story. I think I liked all of the New Mutants, but her in particular, she sort of had the coolest style. The bow was definitely part of it. I mean, if you grew up in the 80s too, and you remember the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, I always liked the Granger guy with the same kind of bow.
Yeah.
So
I never made that connection, but yeah.
So I sort of always liked that angle, and she certainly had the interesting story. I mean, every kid who collected comics in the 80s sort of thought they were an outsider, and especially if you were in the 80s and kids knew you were collecting comics, you absolutely were an outsider. So all the mutant stories really resonated in that way. just sort of right at the time of that sort of coming of age, teenage thing. It was the perfect synchronicity of everything at that time.
You know, there are some other prominent character collectors, obviously. In fact, there's a couple of them here. They want to say hi to you.
Oh no. God
yeah.
help.
I don't know. Let me know. Is it okay to let this guy in?
Oh God. All right. Oh, look at the time. Gotta go.
This is Fausto, who's also not Jose. And then this is this guy, Luis, who's not Stephen Walbro.
Oh my.
What up? What you guys doing?
Although lately the Empire he's bringing, building and whatnot, he might have a Stephen Empire soon. This guy,
right?
Luis, you're killing it on whatnot.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate it, man. How you guys doing?
Good, thank you, Fausto, Luis. These guys are kind of a team. At least they were heroes. They were very copacetic with one another, very cooperative. Fausto's prominent in the card world. His channel, Sketch Card Hive on YouTube, if you haven't watched it, pretty much 90% of everything that I've learned about character collectors with cards was from Fausto and his guest, very often Matt, of course, and Louise too. I'm on episode 12, Fausto. I'm up to Ghost Rider and Man Thing.
Oh, that's a good one. That's fun.
Yeah, you just did the one. You did one with Graydon and his Canadian loves, right? And it was like, it felt like a first appearance of Graydon video. It's like, oh, Graydon looked a little younger like 9 months ago. Graydon does laugh pack magic. But anyway, guys, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, no problem, man. No doubt.
These guys are here basically just to give Matt some crap, say some nice things about him. I think that's what we agreed upon, right? But Fausto, you collect Silver Surfer, and Louise, if I remember right, Moon Knight, is that the one?
I collect a lot of stuff, man. Like
Lewis doesn't like to
my main
in.
PC is definitely Spider-Man, and then probably Moon Knight second. Yeah, I'd say Spider-Man and Moon Knight, Black Panther. Those are probably my top three. Yeah.
Sorry, Spider-Man, Moon Knight, and who now?
I'm writing it down, bro. Come on, man. Wakanda, baby. Let's go. Yeah.
Spidey, Moon Knight, and who?
Panther.
That's right.
Yeah.
I got it now.
I'm not seeing any of that behind you, though. Where's all that art in the room?
Oh, this guy now is an art rep. This guy is moving up and up and up, and he's not anywhere.
Man, just a fellow collector, man, that enjoys the hobby. Got into art probably a little over 2 years ago, and just wanted to take that next. I feel like when you start buying the original art of the stuff you're collecting, like comics and cards, it's like the next level up, right? Like, so I got into the art and got real excited about it, and it's just a different vibe, man, when you can own the piece that created the product line that people go crazy for. You know what I mean? So I just thought that was special.
Well, tell everyone who you're working with now.
Oh, okay. So
one of the best.
I started building up a good relationship with my buddy Eric Gist, EM Gist. From a fan, like he was one of the first artists that I saw his work, one of his first, Moon Knight covers. And I was like, man, I got to get that guy's art. That guy's on another level, artistically. And I just we just started building that relationship. I started buying some pieces from him. And, it just, the friendship, started growing. And, he gave me the opportunity to start pretty much assisting him with selling his originals for his published work. So, I've been doing that, been helping him out probably maybe 6 months, a little over 6 months, 6 to 8 months, something like that. And, we've sold a lot of his pieces and put them into good homes, collectors that are going to appreciate it. And, so yeah, just been enjoying that. I've never been, repped anybody in the art space, but his work is just amazing. And the more people I can get, to see his art, just get it in front of them. And, it's a different level art. So real happy to be able to team up with Eric and help him, move his originals, put them in a good home.
Well, Bill, you've been a fan of Eric's for a long time too. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But you must have published him a lot in Infected by Art. No? Has he been in it?
I don't think he's ever entered. Oddly enough, I mean, I met him 7 years ago at IX when he was set up there, and he had some, just Marvel spec pieces he had painted, and he happened to be right by the IVA table, so I got to talk to him for like 4 straight days, and yeah, he's incredible. I mean, he's just gotten better, and I thought he was fantastic back then, but yeah, I mean, he's an incredible talent.
And an incredible person, man. Amazing human being.
He's
one of the easiest people as far as to deal with as far as artists. He's just a stand-up guy, noble guy. So yeah.
Let's give Fausto a second to talk about why Silver Surfer is the least.
You mean Iceman? You mean Iceman?
The least interesting Marvel character to collect. Why is Silver
I don't know
Surfer?
why anybody would be interested in
character. Worthless.
Worthless. Like super worthless.
Is
as
Silver
much as
Surfer
Avoy is.
even?
Awful.
Do we even know if Silver Surfer is male or female?
You know what? It's a mystery, and that's what dragged me to collect him. You know what I mean? It's the wonderment of it all. I just want to first say, so cool to be on this channel. I love this channel, Bill. I'm such a huge fan of yours, man. I love your stuff. I love you guys doing this stuff. I use Comic Art Fans all the time, so it's super cool to be here. But yeah, Surfer, man, I've been collecting Surfer. I got into Marvel cards, and I pulled a Silver Surfer card, 92 Marvel Universe, Ron Lim. And at the time, when Marvel cards started in the 90s by Marvel, they got the people in the bullpen, right? The people who were doing the comic book art at the time, they gave them card assignments. So when I first got my Surfer card, I was looking at all these different artists, Bill Sienkiewicz, Ron Lim, and everybody was just so amazing. I'll read the back of the cards, and Surfer was always there for me as a character. He is very much an emotional attachment. I've been collecting Surfer since I was a kid, and it's been a long time, and I've always been primarily interested in the cards. I had everything at one point, and then I went really hard on the cards and kind of sold some of the other pieces I had in order to fund what I'm doing now, which is the master character collection that I have now, which is really nice.
You picked up a Ron Lim page from him in Heroes, didn't you?
Man, it was so cool.
Yeah.
So it was so odd. That's the first page I ever bought, like in person, because I had bought Ariel Olivetti Wizard 1.5 page of Surfer. It's a great price. He just randomly put them up on Instagram. It was fantastic, so I grabbed those. And then Ron Lim, I met him at GalaxyCon like a year and a half prior, and we had a great talk. And of course, it's always nice when you meet someone who's actually also cool. Like Simone Bianchi's like just the best, and he's just so awesome. But yeah, I got to talk to Lim, and there was a page from Silver Surfer 1 Rebirth, and it was crazy. It's awesome. It's the iconic homage Surfer character moment where he doesn't want to fight, but they keep coming at him, and then he's able to kind of break free of that. It was cool. So yeah.
So we gave Matt like a break to check his email and see if his kids are hurt or anything like that. So now that we've given him a break, I don't know how you all met. Louis, Fausto, whatever. What's your story with Matt? Because you guys seem like childhood friends, just from when I observe you guys, and I know you're not. But how far back does that go?
It's weird because Marvel cards, not to be corny, because I usually am, but man, it's weird when you're a kid when you're trading Marvel cards. You know what I mean? So when you meet these guys who also collect Marvel cards, it's immediate. You're at your neighborhood and you're trading. You know what I mean? And it's almost instantaneous. And oddly enough, so many Marvel card collectors are very similar in terms of like what we love about them. So it's a very easy to mesh. But I mean, Matt Fuller, I don't want to embarrass him, but he's one of my mentors. He's one of my mentors, honestly.
Louis will say something.
Louis is going to get me on this one. We will trade off. But honestly, Matt really is. He's a guide. You know what I mean? I remember seeing Matt posting on Scoundrel and then Blowout and listing sketch cards. And I've collected Marvel sketch cards Surfer forever, and it wasn't until like 98 to like 99 when Silver Age, Marvel Creator Collection, Blue Ultra Spider-Man first had the first sketch cards, 97. And I was on those forums. I don't know how I found them. I don't know what happened, but I've been looking at Silver Surfer stuff my whole life. So I've always been around, but I was younger. And there's Matt. posting stuff and showing stuff, Lord of the Rings, and he would put these beautiful forms together where he would categorize and list all these sketch cards, like all these different artists, and he really was my education. And luckily, we became good friends, and I think of Matt as like one of my closest friends actually in the hobby. Yeah, that's how I met Matt, and then Lewis. He just showed up one day and started talking, and I was just like, I gotta listen to this guy now. He's stuck there.
I love listening to Lewis. Yeah.
No, Lewis is lovely.
So pretty much me, the first interaction I had with Matt, he actually muted my ass on one of the MCCW group, in the MCCW Facebook, for something silly, right? He's like, yo, man, I know you're a good dude, but unfortunately the rules are. I'm like, that's cool. And I was like, and that was the first interaction. I was like, man, who the hell is this Matt Fuller guy?
Don't feel bad. That group's got a lot of rules. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he was one of the homies that got invited to meet. We all got invited to the Daniel Santos VIP masterpiece art viewing. And that's my first interaction face to face, with Fausto, which me and Fausto, we were already homies a bit before that. And then that's the first time I met Matt, man. I'm telling you, man, when we spent a whole weekend together up in North Carolina, breaking bread, just enjoying the time. And man, we hit it off, man. Like, super cool dude. I was like, man, this dude's cool. And he's like, yo, my bad about the whole banning thing and all that. I'm like, it's good, man. It's good. So it was beautiful, man. It was, good people, man. When you engage with good people, it's infectious, man. So I like to be around good dudes, and he's always giving me a hand and giving me advice on certain things that I'm maybe not too knowledgeable at. But Matt's just a homie, bro. Just a solid dude. Same with Fausto. I met Fausto on Justin Spidey Hits channel. Just being on there, and I remember I hit the AF-15 cut from the Spider-Man metal product when it dropped. And Fausto, which works for CGC, was able to get something special, and CGC did something special with the car. And that's where our relationship started. But yeah, so my relationship with Fausto started on a good note. My relationship with Matt, started with the muting for, 3 days or 4 days. But yeah, they're good dudes, man. It's good people. Yeah, good people in the hobby, good homies.
Everyone was at OAX, and if I remember, Matt was the guy who was responsible for the villas.
Yep.
Right?
He's good at that, bro. He's a beast. Yeah, he's a beast, bro. He got us a monster place, and the logistics and everything was perfect. So yeah.
Yeah, no cops, no nothing. Yeah.
No. And it was crazy, bro. OAX, the villa party was like 3 or 4 nights straight. 30 plus dudes in there. Ripping product, ripping packs, ripping expensive boxes, trading, collecting, art sales. It's
blowing smoke rings. Yeah,
it's definitely one of the what happened?
Smoke rings.
Smoke rings.
Oh yeah, for sure. But it's one of the bright spots for the Marvel card community. At least for us, it's like a beacon that we go to every year now. The first OAX was a huge success. It was the first show that I've been to that really we were able to engage so many Marvel card collectors into one place that now we look forward to it every year. It's already I think it's gonna be double as crazy this coming year than it was.
4 times as crazy.
We could do it 4 times. We could do it 5 times.
It's not the best slogan, 4 times as crazy, but I kind of like it. Sure. It makes you remember it, right? Matt's going to be a big part of that. He's joined the team. He's helping out. He's like the sketch card god, let alone the other stuff that he knows. And then you guys know Jose and Steven as well. So that's an all-star team right there. And Bill and I have got Thursday, September 12th, I think, scheduled as like a reveal day for a lot of that stuff. So it's exciting news. We're finally get to talk about it after just, sending each other, bullshit links and Zoom calls and stuff for 4 months. So that'll be fun. So September 12th, guys, September 12th. And maybe a little Spidey hit thing here and there before then. Who knows?
Yeah. And if people haven't figured it out, everything that's just been said, social media is awesome, and you can definitely make friends there, but it pales in comparison to when you actually get together in person. It absolutely changes things, and it just brings it to the next level. And that's why, if you're on the fence about going to OAX, get the hell off the fence and go.
I'm off of it. Yeah.
I think we'll give them a lot of reasons, Matt, right on the 12th, and then that's just what we know right now. I think there's going to be some interesting stuff after that, but if you are interested in Marvel cards, especially, but cards from our industry at all, I spent the last year looking at these guys' faces on the screen so much, and I cannot guarantee them. I cannot recommend them more, and I guess guarantee you more. But Fausto Sketch Card Hive, that is a great channel. Lewis, you don't do a lot on YouTube anymore.
Bro, I've got a little YouTube channel, bro, that I just do it just to have fun on. Yeah, I don't listen, bro. I would be the worst YouTuber, bro. Like I'm the worst at putting out content. I'm just another dude in the hobby trying to enjoy it. I enjoy the cards. I enjoy the art, and yeah. So
I noticed something.
You can check me out on IG though.
I thought you built some like AI bot like 2 months ago that scoured the world for every remaining platinum box and you just scooped them all up. And then you got it's crazy to me. It's like, I don't know. I've never opened a case of a product before, but I think that might be one of the funnest things in the world to do. I'll just put it out on the table. There's very few things.
It's risky.
There's some
You're definitely gambling. You're playing with your own money for sure. But if you hit something huge that just changes the game, that's pretty much what you're going for, right? Like when you're opening up any kind of product, whether it's sports, Marvel, Pokemon, whatever it is, you're trying to get that golden ticket, hit that experience. So it's exciting, man, but it's dangerous, bro, and it can get real crazy. You can look at your account, you're like, dude, where did all my money just go?
Yeah, I know. I always see the tiny print, the bottom of the gambling commercials. We all see the tiny print, and Lewis's beautiful voice just read it off for us. We got it. Man. Totally fair thing to say. I get it. But guys, we wanted people to see you, meet you, whatever. I hope you guys are going to be back on. There's between now and January for OAX. I know you're all going to be there. And everyone can walk up and say hi to these guys. They're awesome. They're interesting. They're generous. And I really regret this world was totally meant for me. Cards and card art. I was crazy about it growing up, and I missed out on like 20 years of fun. So I'm going to make up for it in the next couple of years. So
we're gonna catch you up, man. We'll help.
Yeah, the villa might burn down in January. The villa's gonna be back, guys. The villa's back.
The villa, Matt. I think it's gonna be twice as strong, right?
Yeah, we got to get two. We got to get two side by side villas. Yep.
There's not enough space in one now. Now we need two of them.
There might be an on-site surprise too. So on the 12th.
Hey, I'm down. Hey, last year we had Dando Santos staying with us the whole weekend at the villa, bro. Yeah. Marvel Masterpiece artists just hanging out with us the whole weekend. So you never know. It could get even crazier this week. Maybe we have two of them, maybe three. Who knows?
Yeah. And what's awesome about Dan is he doesn't look like he snores. He looks like, a guy who just sleeps like a baby.
He had his own room, so I wasn't really peeking to see if he was snoring or not. But, I think he's straight. I think he's good. Yeah, shout out to Dan, though, man. So that's another homie, man. Awesome dude, amazing artist.
That was really the start. I mean, to have I worked with Dan as his representative for the Marvel card for Marvel Masterpiece 2022 and orchestrated the event that happened kind of in our backyard because Dan and I actually lived near each other, surprisingly, and he ended up being the next Marvel Masterpiece artist. So that was the major event. A lot of the pieces are on the wall here are from Dan himself, and now with everything changing with the license, it was kind of like the last moment to have a Marvel Masterpiece kind of moment like that. And at the Villa, did sketch cards, hang out with us. We had tons of great artists there. They interviewed all the M1995 artists as well. That was really cool. I mean,
Simone was there. Simone's a gem.
Simone was the best.
I still think the highlight of the villa for me was watching Steven and Dan sitting on the floor playing Magic with decks that had Black Lotus cards in them.
Steve's
Holy
crazy.
Bear, just crazy.
Steve does not play games, bro.
No,
That
do
is
not
like
mess around.
the nerd equivalent of like snorting coke with $100 bills.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Or $1,000 bills, or
It's crazy, bro.
promise me something. I'll put you on the spot. We do a show on our channel talking about character collectors, crossover between the cards and the original art and sketch cards, and you show pack pool, you show APs, you show stuff that you've gotten at shows, whatever. We'll make it original art enough, but it's really about character collecting because that really impacts original comic art world as well. A lot of us lean towards that without even realizing it. And some of the lessons from the card world, because the card world with that is a crucible. Like if you don't know what you're doing at an atomic level, you're gonna get like thrown off the Ferris wheel. So Fausto, Lewis, Matt, Justin, Graydon, whatever all-star team covering up the screen talking about that, and everyone talking over one another would be awesome. Let's do it.
Great.
Please.
I'm in.
Let's do it.
I'm down, bro. Whenever.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we got to get back to Matt and some of the boring standard questions, and then over to the art so that the chat people actually stay on. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you guys for having me here, man.
You guys.
Hey,
Later, Bill. Nice to meet you.
Treat Matt right. Don't hurt him too much, all right?
This guy's impenetrable. This guy's made out of metal. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Hey,
Later.
good night, guys.
See ya,
Take care. Peace.
Every
It
time.
was an OAX 2025 kickoff show.
Yeah, kind of. And then
Oh, here,
every
I'll
time.
fix that.
What's that?
I'll fix that. We're getting too close. There we go.
Every time I see Lewis, I pronounce his name different. Louis, I call him different stuff every time I see him. It's the weirdest thing, and I just wanted this to be like a mini confessional and apology to Lewis because I don't want him to hurt me.
What's nice is he just sort of accepts it.
Oh, he's cool. Oh yeah, he's as cool as it gets. Super nice guy. So that was a big aside. Sorry about that. I wanted to talk about character collecting just for a second with these guys in, but the thing about Danny is you don't just collect Danny, you collect kind of everything, I think, related or different iterations or different evolutions of Danny, right?
I've gone all in on Danny, so it will be anything that sort of has her. That could be just her name on the back of the card up front, like a checklist.
All right.
I just noticed I have a comic cut over here. Do I still have it? She's not on the front of the comic cut, but she's on the comic book cover on the back.
Well, of course.
So, so I sort of go all in that way. And I haven't really displayed it yet because I'm building up sort of ancillary set. I do want to have like a little set of maybe 10 or 15 cards of each of the other 4 original New Mutants to sort of almost have a display where they're kind of on the sides of it. So, going a little in that direction. Almost done, but yeah. God, movie props. I just saw that in chat. God help me.
Yeah. No, we're not even thinking about that stuff.
Right.
Have you commissioned artists? Not sketch card commissions. I mean commissions outside of a sketch card format, and not just for Danny. Is that a thing you do? Because I didn't get the impression.
On large pieces, my handle is OCD Marvel sketch cards for a reason.
Yeah.
I have a very addictive personality, and I know that if I went down that path of commissioning large pieces, it would just be a disaster. It'd be the same way that, I went into Star Wars and Rick and Morty and all those and eventually had to cut back. So I'm trying to avoid that. So for larger pieces, it's either published or there are 1 or 2 exceptions. I really, really have to like the piece. Like I grabbed an unpublished Palumbo prelim that he did for Human Torch that I liked it so much. I'm like, all right, even though this isn't published, I'll make an exception for this because I really like it. But for the most part, it's, for me, the bigger pieces have to be published.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Because I can get custom sketch cards left and right with artist proofs. And even then, artist proofs are a way to sort of cheat. Should I give the 30-second description of what an artist proof is, just in case people aren't sketch card fans?
Sure, yeah.
The way card companies compensate sketch card artists is not monetarily. They pay $2-3 a card, maybe up to like $10 these days for these full color pieces. But the incentive is for every certain number of cards, say every 15 or 20 cards, they'll give the artist a blank card, which has a stamp on it, says it's what's called an artist proof, that they can commission directly to a collector. So you might only get, $5 each for 50 cards, but then you have 5 APs that the artist could maybe sell for $200-300 depending on the artist. So that's a way to get a commission, but it's still on licensed stock. So it's sort of a workaround for someone like me who really wants, official licensed stuff.
Interesting. So are you known as the Danny collector out there now? If anybody does any Danny card art,
yeah, he's Danny boy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. It's one of those things. I also, because it's dangerous sometimes to let people know what you collect, right? It's a double-edged sword, right? If you've got good friends out there, then you can kind of get opportunities, but people also know. I mean, Danny's again, not obscure, but in terms of character collectors, right now there's only one sort of new character collector who started to collect Danny that I'm aware of. And I think awesome, and more. I'd like to see more, honestly. I wouldn't say no to get them all, but I'm not crazy enough that I have to have every single one of one and every single card, because it's impossible, right? I mean, you can't have all of everything. So the bigger we can make the tent to have multiple people collecting characters, I think the better it is for the hobby in general. So and whereas Fausto and Lewis have, they have characters that, God, there must be 20-30 at least for each of theirs. And Spider-Man, forget it, right? Hundreds. So I've been lucky in that regard that there haven't been a ton of people chasing her up until this point. So I've been able to build it up, but I'm also at the point now, you know what? If 10 more people want to come in and collect her, I'm happy where I am right now. So let's do it.
How many, Matt, you'd know this. I thought I've heard of one guy who claims that they collect MODOK. Does that sound accurate? Or do you
remember a couple years ago, someone said that. I actually,
it was a throwaway line.
No, but there's actually, I can pull it up right now. When I was the admin of the Marvel group, I kept the spreadsheet that people could put down what characters they collect. So let's just do a quick search.
Thank you.
MODOK.
Gonna get a name.
And
I gotta know who to go after.
No, MODOK does not come up on the list.
All right.
And there's about 200 people who put into it. So I think you're safe.
Okay. I've been buying MODOK cards for about 15 years, but I didn't know anything about the decks or the sources and the differences. I just saw cards and I'm like, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that, I'll take that. I got to pull them out and take a look. But Bill, should we show art? Should we just have conversation with art? Yeah, sorry about that. We're rambling.
OA related question though. I mean, so the New Mutants, Bill Sienkiewicz, Demon Bear. Have you looked into ever picking up any of the pages from that storyline, given the fact that that was kind of one of the starting points for you in terms of
I mean, if you want to talk about an unattainable first issue to fall in love with, that's it right there, right? When I'm ready to remortgage my house to pick up a piece, perhaps, but I've been
so it's on your radar. I mean, it's out there. You'd love to have a piece, but
that would be sort of the bucket list. I was able to get, like, I've got one or two like rough sketches he did at cons, but the original ones, like from the original series, I've got a Bob McLeod page from one of the early issues, but nothing crazy. But it's got Danny. But I mean, obviously a Sienkiewicz original page would be my bucket list item, but again, it's a true bucket list item, because if I spent that much on it, I'd be murdered by my spouse. So that would be the last item I ever buy.
100 collectors out there that would be fighting you for those
Exactly
30 or so pages. So that's why they're so expensive. But Casper, you're right. We have a lot of art to look at. A lot of sketch card stuff. We're going to start off with that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Matt, in one of the early emails to us, you said that was kind of your starting point. We've talked about that already, and you mentioned Lord of the Rings. So we're going to get like 6 Lord of the Rings related pieces here to get going.
Yeah. So, I tried to pick pieces that were by either comic pedigree artists or just more popular artists that collectors in general would know. So, for example, this one's by Jerry Vanderstelt, who, if you know, he's done some amazing Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, big pieces. He's just a big painter. So having somebody like that putting sketch cards into a set was just unbelievable. And what you'd find with someone like this is, I want to say Jerry did maybe 50 pieces. He probably did like 6 or 7 full color, and the rest were either pencil or pen and ink. So I really went all out to get a full color piece from him. And even back in the day, you'd be amazed at what a little 3.5 or 2.5 by 3.5 sketch card could go for. Although this isn't the most I paid for a sketch card, but there is one in here that's up there. But yeah, just the detail. I think it's a testament to the artists to see the level of detail they can put into. Again, it's a trading card. That's a trading card. So think about, that's hand done. I can't say enough good things about it. And this is a card that, so many of these, for me, I don't buy them for investment. I don't buy them, because I want to flip them. I buy them because something about the card of the artist grabs me, and there's some story behind it. And this, I remember the people I was talking to at the time and helping me try to track one of these down. And then when the opportunity came up, so it's not just a card, right? Every one of these has this whole history that I remember, and you see it, and it really brings back all of that. The same way, I'm sure, for a lot of people collecting the original art, it pulls them back to the stories that really grabbed them when they were kids. And I think that's the beauty of this particular hobby, that it can really grab that nostalgia factor and make a piece of art that much more important to you as a collector. And this is a perfect example of it.
Alberto has like the best question ever. How large is this piece? Alberto, it's 2 by 3 feet.
Yeah, if only. Again, if you want to put me up on the screen real quick, this particular one, it's a standard trading card size. It's this size. So that's a high res scan, so you can see it much bigger. But no, it's 2.5 by 3.5 inches.
Now, I know we're going to look at a few other cards, and I'll switch over to the next one here. But are all of these cards that you have that we're displaying tonight ones that you've purchased in and aftermarket? So it's gone through a few hands before it made it to you?
Some of them are. There are a couple that I pulled. Actually,
okay.
Did I put any in here that I pulled? There's definitely 1 or 2 I commissioned. I can't remember. I'll let you know as I go through. But this is one I purchased.
Okay.
This is Dave.
Yeah, I'd like to know. I mean, because at the end of the day, this is an area that a lot of OA collectors don't know a lot about, and and the curiosity factor, like you said, whether it was pulled, whether it was purchased on eBay or some aftermarket marketplace, or you commissioned somebody for them. I think with each of the cards, it'd be kind of cool to know how you acquired it.
Yep. No, this one was a purchase. This might have actually come from Dave. No, this was not Dave. This was another collector. Sometimes some of these older sets, and one of the things that kind of Lord of the Rings was one of the first to, I don't want to say suffer from, but have this little asterisk sometime, is that a lot of the Lord of the Rings sketches were done like they were true sketches, and they were done in very light pencil. And there was one artist in particular who didn't use fixer. So a lot of the old ones could be erased, and a lot of artists would do aftermarket or after the fact work on it. So that's when there would be called an aftermarket. This one, I believe, is not the case. I believe this was one of his APs. I'd have to go back and check my notes. But as a collector, it's always important that people know the difference. So I have notes, for example, if one of my cards is an aftermarket, because to me as a collector, a pack pulled is worth more than, you know, an aftermarket. Whether it's worth more than an artist proof, that's sort of a collector's prerogative. But I think it's always important that you disclose the full provenance of a card like that. So, but this one I'm pretty sure was one of his artist proofs. And in fact, back then when it was Lord of the Rings, they weren't actually called artist proofs. They were originally called artist returns, because the artist would do them ahead of time, send them in for approval, and then they'd say, these are the 6 I want returned as my compensation. So they'd be mailed back. Now they get them blank, and they just send them in they send images in for approval after the fact. So little weird history for people. So this is Colleen Duran, who was, oh my God, now I can't remember the name of her comic series. Just in Soil, right?
Yep.
Yep. So she had contributed as well. This is one of her artist proofs. And again, just the level of detail, it's simple, it's colored pencil, and it just always just wows me to see, you know, an artist that I know from somewhere else, that they would come and take the time and put this much effort into something that I know they got paid next to nothing for, right? But this one in particular, this is what her compensation was, and this one I did get directly from her. So
I like how the Lord of the Ring cards have that mid-tone paper.
Yeah, it was a very interesting choice. Although the other interesting thing is, so if you look to the left of his head, you'll see this little white line sort of running up. That appears on every single card. So it's actually, that is in the background of every single card, a little imperfection in the card stock. So every one of them will have a line there. So it's an interesting little thing.
Now, you picked this up from her at a show, or did you buy it online?
That one online. Yeah, I don't think I've ever met her at a show. So this is Michael Oming, artist for Powers. And I just, again, it's much more stylistic than a lot of the cards were. Although what I liked about this set and the next one, Masterpieces 2, they definitely took some risks on artists. You had, you know, sort of, I don't know if avant-garde is the wrong word, but more modern artists like this. You had very cartoony artists. There was a really nice mix. And I was into Powers when it came out. So when I figured out who he was, you know, I've been chasing after his stuff for quite a while. It's probably got about 25 of his pieces.
Oh, cool. I didn't even have any idea that he worked on.
Yeah, to my knowledge, this is the only sketch card set he worked on.
Okay.
Well, you get someone like Avon Oming that has that economy of line too. You almost want to see what they can do in that format.
Yeah.
Look how expressive this is. 3 characters on a sketch card, and it's impressive.
Yeah, and if you're a fan of the movies, you know the exact scene. It's just an amazing rendition of Treebeard too.
Treebeard, yeah.
And there's that white line you were talking about too on this one.
Yeah, just the interesting use of color, the heavy blue up in there, you know, the whites down on the lower left there. I'm pointing at the screen like everybody can see me.
Oh, you know, yeah.
All right, let's see.
Well, Jimmy, you know, Bill, Jimmy posted something on Instagram yesterday. He's like, here's some Marvel cards that I painted for them 29 years ago. I'm old. And I'm like, I never seen any of these cards that Jimmy did 30 years ago. Colleen, I had no idea. Michael Avon Oming, I had no idea.
Yep. So this, if you're a Marvel fan, you probably know Ray Lago from his work in the early sets. He did some sketch cards as well. This is actually one of his artist proofs. And I had gotten quite a few artist proofs from Ray over the years. So I've always worked with him via email. And then I finally, a couple of years ago, had the chance to meet him in person at a show in New Jersey. Just a fantastic guy. And again, Ray, obviously, super talented painter, but again, on the small scale, to get the likeness of Christopher Lee like that, and just it's just staggering what this guy can do. And it, you know, when I found out he's an art teacher as well, I wasn't remotely surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought this one was fantastic. So again, one of the things, the points to make here is that the importance is that these are done on those cards printed by the publisher of the card set, and that's really what holds their value. You can't have somebody go out there just Ray Lago, if he painted the same painting on just a plain Jane sketch card, it wouldn't be anywhere nearly as desirable to collectors in this area as being done on the Lord of the Rings Masterpieces 2 card.
For sure. And that's part of the reason you see so many non-set artists selling their own cards on eBay, because
Right.
they bought those blank ones and they're trying to jack up the value. And to me, that's fine as long as they're clear. Some of them don't make the distinction that they weren't on the set. They just say, hey, it's a Lord of the Rings card. But to me, as long as you say, this is the story behind it, I don't really care.
Sure.
So this is Renee DeLiz. I don't know that at the time she had done any comic book work. She's done a run on Wonder Woman for sure, and I'm sure she's done some other stuff. She's married to an artist named Ray Dillon. This actually, at the time, this was the most expensive sketch art I had purchased, and it was for quite a few years. One of the big things with Lord of the Rings, and I'm sure Star Wars and others were the same, was there were a lot of us trying to put together master sets of sketch cards to get at least one of each. And Renee was one of the roadblocks because she only did, I believe, 17 cards. So as a result, hers were definitely the ones you really had to fight for. And I didn't know that when I went after the first one on eBay. And I don't know if anyone else does this, but sometimes when I want a card, I'm like, all right, I bet it's going to go for 300. But I'm like, I just want to make sure. And I would just be lazy. And I think for this one, I was like, 1,600. I'm going to type it in just in case someone goes to 4 or 5. I'll make sure I get it. And this one ended up at 1,590. And I was like, what have I done?
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, there back then, I knew most of the collectors who were going after these back then. So a lot of us were sort of frenemies, I guess you'd say. Healthy respect for each other. A lot of bidding wars on these back in the day. And I came in late to a lot of these. I came in and there were already some established collectors. And then when I started going heavy, a lot of people were like, who is this guy? I was buying so much at one point. One guy made a post on Scoundrel and called me Sauron because I was buying everything and not leaving anything for anyone else. It's like, wow, that's not even passive aggressive. That's just aggressive. So, yeah. So yes. So speaking of Mr. Sienkiewicz, so this is one, and you'll notice the date on there that I insisted on. So this is Bill. This is on the 2007 masterpiece stock. This is actually an artist proof stock, but I had Bill do it after the fact, and it wasn't one of his. So I had him note that when he did it in August of 2023. So I still think it's still one of my absolute favorite pieces. But again, I don't want it ever to be confused that this was one of the original ones he did that was back inserted. So, always disclose, but still just, again, just the way he mixes in that white there, it's just so good. I can't stop smiling. I'm just smiling so much right now looking at this on the screen.
He made Stingray happy today. Thanks, Fausto, for letting him know that Stingray actually has a place in the Marvel card world.
Oh, yeah.
There's hope for everybody now.
Oh, I've got a Stingray sketch, I believe. So, yeah.
Oh, when we get you back on the screen, if you can search through, if you can find it, I'm sure he'd love to see it. But
I should. Oh, you know what? Would it? I can search and see if I have one, but then the challenge would be I have to go upstairs. That's where all my notes are on which set it's in and which binder to look for. But I could probably do that.
Yeah,
Well, something like this, obviously, special piece for you because it's Sienkiewicz.
Oh yeah, it's Sienkiewicz. It's his classic storyline. He obviously didn't create the character, but no offense to Bob, but I think he defined the character with that storyline. So,
Matt, can I ask you this? There is some discussion about whether APs from a set should only be drawn upon by artists that were attached to that particular set. I know this stuff gets a little bit strange, but I thought it was worth mentioning.
Yeah, I mean, again, opinions are like assholes, right? Everybody's got one.
Well, there are more horses' asses than horses too.
Exactly. And you know what? My opinion is that, again, you should just, as long as it's disclosed, that's fine. You know, sometimes my biggest problem is when some cards are treated one way and some cards are treated another. I do agree that in general, it's ideal if a blank is used by someone who's on the set. And if not, if they weren't on the set, just make sure you always disclose it, right? And again, an educated buyer is a happy buyer, and that's the key. And I've seen examples where people aren't clear about that. We've seen examples where artists were commissioned to do cards and they literally line for line copy other artists' sketches and don't give credit. We saw an example a couple months ago where someone literally forged a card. Like they signed it as an artist and that artist said, I didn't do that. That's not my signature. So there's definitely some shady people out there. And that's where, Facebook groups, Discords come in handy, where people can share information and make sure nobody's sort of pulled in there.
Well, whenever there's money to be made, there'll be somebody forging something.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate that some of the artists would agree to that, but I think they were some of them were more misled as far as what was going to be done with the card. So nice Tariq Hassan here. So this card, this card was part of a collector named Curtis. He went by 501 Blues on Sketch Collectors. And he unfortunately passed away a few years ago. And I somehow got synced up with his mother and helped her sell off his collection. And this was one of the ones that I actually ended up purchasing just because there was something about it that just grabbed me. I didn't even at the time honestly know who Tariq was. I didn't sort of know his pedigree. I was just like, that card I have to have. And again, part of I had it in hand. It's tactile, right? You can feel the layers of the paint. Again, not that I go like rubbing all sketch cards to check, but I mean, it's just between that. And I am a sucker for words and word balloons on cards. To me, where it sort of ties it back to the original comic like that, I absolutely love it. So seeing the BAMF right over it like that, I was hooked right off the bat.
Yeah, you can tell that this has got to be a weighty card with the level of paint that's on it.
Yeah.
The detail there.
Yeah. And again, Nightcrawler hasn't been on sketch cards for years and years. He's been a banned character since right after Masterpieces 2016, I think. And still to this day, you can't draw him. Just too bad. Such a great character. Mark Irwin here. So this is 2000 Masterpieces 2008. I think it's the second set. So what's nice about these ones is with 07 and 08, you could tell where it was an artist proof card. There were two ways. Number one, it said it right at the bottom, as you see there, artist proof sketch card. But also the color of the banner at the top and on the back was different than the base cards. So even if that artist proof sketch card was painted over, you could still tell from the color bar at the top. And again, this one, just beautiful black and white Wolverine, and just that splash of red just really helps highlight it. And it's got it's got sort of a Sam Keith style almost, just the wild eyes and the bold ink there. I just absolutely love this. And almost a little Kirby Crackle hiding behind the red there.
Getting Kirby Crackle and blood splatter. I don't think we've seen that before. But,
it's an interesting combo.
Yeah, well, you mentioned on the Nightcrawler piece with the word balloons or lettering on there. If you need to get the word out a little bit better, maybe more of the artists will actually kind of start inserting some of that in there if they realized how appealing that was to collectors. I think it makes a lot of sense when you mentioned about the, it feels more like a comic. It's tied to its roots when it has something on it like that.
And if there's something that makes the card special too, like again, the tactile, I have one, I didn't put it in here because it's hard to see with the scan, but I have one from the X-Men Archive set where it's a Wolverine and he's got his claws poking forward and the artist cut slits in the card. So it makes it look like he actually cut through the card.
Sure.
I absolutely love that piece.
Well, here's an artist many collectors are familiar with.
Yep. Yeah. I couldn't resist putting an Adam Hughes in here. Completely bizarre coincidence. So I went in, so I submitted this and I went in the other day to get basically my local framer. I finally convinced him to get the non-glare expensive glass. So I've been going in and getting a lot of my pieces reglassed. And when I went in there, he's like, oh, hey, I got a guy who just came in and he has this piece. And he pulls out this giant Adam Hughes piece. And I had already met a local collector through this framer. And now this is another guy. So we've got at least 3 original art collectors in my little town of Reading, Massachusetts. Kind of interesting. But yeah, Adam Hughes did a couple sketches just for this 2000, I think it's 8 Women of Marvel set. So I was super happy to grab one of them. And just, I mean, it's Adam Hughes. I mean,
oh, that's great. Yeah.
I will take as many as I can get.
Yeah, right. You and me both. So this guy's a comic cover artist. I think he's done pages too, but I know him mainly for covers. Felipe Massafera.
We've heard of him a couple.
Yeah.
There's a friend of the channel named Mike Berkey, and we're pretty convinced Massafera is chained in his basement.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of interesting things about Massafera. First of all, he's just amazing art, and he is an artist who, as you can see there, so he both signed his name over on the right in the little red. But then, I don't know, we got this stroke of motivation and also signed it in silver in giant letters along the side. But what's funny is some artists, if they did that, I've just been annoyed, but it just works with his. I don't know why. It's big, but it's not as obtrusive as there are 1 or 2 people who do really big signatures. That gets annoying, but I actually think it works for him.
Well, it does in this piece.
Yeah.
The composition, sure. And keeping with the
so, yeah, Mr. Dresco. So I did have 2. All right. So this is a painful part of my history here. So I'm going to have to say this. So I collected 2016 hard, and I had certain characters and certain artists I liked. And I knew Joe was the set artist, but I still in 2016, I didn't quite get it. You know, when I jumped from Lord of the Rings to Marvel, it was in 2016, 2017. My first 2 big sets were Premiere 17 and Masterpieces 16. I didn't really get the importance of a set artist doing sketch cards. He really was sort of the first one during that set. So I traded both of my Joes that I pulled. Oh, actually, no, I traded one and I sold one. There was someone who was collecting them all for other cards that I really liked. In retrospect, I hate myself for that. But I was able to get a pair of Joe's cards. He also did some in the Premiere 2017 set. And again, it's Joe for artists like this and all of the Masterpieces artists. And that's really the beauty of the Masterpieces sets, where you've got the beautiful printed cards, you have the opportunity of the OA, and on a much more affordable scale, most of the time, you can also pick up some of their sketch cards.
Now, for a series like 2016, how many sketch cards were commissioned by them?
I think he did about 30, if I recall. I remember seeing a post where they all lined up. So
for Joe, 30, but how many across the entire?
Oh, across the entire set, thousands. I mean, okay. For 16, there was 1 per box. So absolutely thousands.
Well, but I'm because at the end of the day, I have no idea how many boxes would be created for a set of that magnitude.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings Masterpieces 2 had over 10,000.
10,000. Got it.
Wow.
That's insane. So I mean, they must be employing 300, 400 artists.
Yeah, well, you would think that theirs was the exception because, again, that artist who I talked about who had the pencil sketches, he did 2,000.
Wow. Okay.
Artist Grant Gould did a little over 1,000. There's another guy, Ryan Waterhouse, who's are affectionately called Helmet Heads. He did about 2,000 as well. So a good chunk of the sketch run was 3 people.
Okay.
So then, Simone Bianchi. I picked one from a premiere set just because this was one of my favorite ones by Simone. And this is really what grabbed my attention with him. And the pattern was that for the first 2 sets, at least, the artist did sketches not only for 20 masterpieces, but part of their contract was they also did some for the following premiere set. So he did about 20 or 25, and I think he did either 7 or 8 mutants for the set because these all have named characters on them, and I think I have all but one of the mutants he did. And again, is
that because you sought him out? You
oh yeah, oh god.
If somebody
this one I pulled.
Okay.
So this one I did pull. I think I pulled 3 total because the premiere sets I just went crazy on, absolutely crazy. In fact, I went so crazy in 2017 that I was licking my wounds and I actually missed out on Fleer Ultra X-Men. I really just couldn't go into it because I just cut so deep. So yeah, obsessions. So this was one I pulled as well. Dave Palumbo from Masterpieces 2020. And again, Dave's got this great style. He's got that sort of almost this hazy look on his characters. And I really liked this style so much. And that's why, when it came to his original art, I was actually much more drawn to the preliminary art pieces he did. I don't know if people know. So what they did in 2018 is Simone did a bunch of pencil prelims and they printed them as actually, where's pencil? No, his were grayscale. So he did painted prelims, and they had a whole subset called preliminary art. So there was 2 whole sets of characters. One was a prelim set, and one was the fully published set. They did the same thing with Dave, but Dave's prelims he does on smaller board, and he uses a very red background. It's very similar to this. So they've all got a red tinted feel to them, and I love those. And I chased his prelims rather than his finished pieces just because they grabbed me far, far more than the originals. Not to say I don't love the originals, I do, but there's just something about those that really appealed to me and didn't hurt that they were much more affordable too.
Yeah, he exhibits at IX in Pennsylvania pretty much every year, and he always carries about 30 or 40 of those prelims to his paintings and even his card art as well. And they are a lot of fun and they're affordable, and they're I don't know, they're pretty small, but they're still like 3x6. They're fun. I've regretted never buying one, and hopefully if he's there this year, I'll pick up a few.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I typically only buy published pieces, and I think it's a testament to how much I love his work, and particularly those prelims, that I picked up the unpublished Human Torch prelim he did, just because it looked so good.
Matt, you said this was pack pooled?
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me go back on here.
One was pack pooled.
What were the odds for? Was this 2020 Marvel Masterpieces? Yep. Of course, yeah. Do you remember what? How many sketch cards did he do?
I want to say again, I think they're all somewhere in that 20 to 30 range. Each of the set artists. So there weren't a lot, and in a lot of these early on, these boxes were pretty hard to find, physical boxes. Because I didn't really have any shows around, or local dealers who carried them. Mm-hmm. So you're really just searching on eBay, and really your only choice other than that is like Dave and Adams. And
yeah, this is the first Palumbo pulled card that I've seen from the set. I mean, not that I've been looking like a dog form or something, but this seems very rare.
Yeah, no, I was pretty happy. And then there was also, and I've got an AP from him as well that I got through, might have been through either Fausto or Jose. But yeah. And then, then the most recent set artist, Dando Santos. So I have not pulled any of his pack inserted. I also haven't purchased any. This is actually one of his APs. I think he negotiated. I want to say he has 15 APs, but he is in no rush to do them. To my knowledge, this is still the only one he has done to date. And I was fortunate enough that when he put it up for sale, I was actually in my car and I couldn't get there. And Justin, Spidey Hits, and he does collect Magic, but he more than graciously knew that I wanted this piece to match the original art that I have of Magic. So he purchased it on my behalf and let me have it. And that's just, again, that just shows the power of making friends in this hobby and treating people right, because they'll absolutely take care of you. So I'm super thrilled about that, to say the least.
We've had a few collectors buy art while they're driving in their car. So I'm a little disappointed, Matt, that you couldn't pull that off. But
yeah,
we've also had a few collectors buy art we know other people would want and then charge 3 to 50 times more for it as well.
There you go. I think if it was on eBay, I could have pulled it off, but it was on his Patreon, and you had to keep refreshing it for when it went up for sale. Mm-hmm. So I literally would have had to have the phone in front of me while I'm driving. Refresh.
Well, we can't have that.
No.
Well, that was the last sketch card that you gave.
Yep.
So we can take a look at some of the more.
Yeah, and from there, the obsession transitioned over to these larger pieces.
We're going to start off with the Just Go piece. So that's why I threw Jason's in the chat, link to his stuff. But you got this nice forge.
Yep. So this is from, I think, 92.
92. Okay.
I should probably just have the open. Yeah, there we go. So I can look at my notes here. This is one. It's 93. Sorry. This is one I actually only picked up recently. So a lot of my art is much more modern. I tend to go a lot more with the newer sets just because I've only started in the last 6 or so years. But I've definitely made it known that I'm looking for examples of the older pieces. So I was able to go ahead and pick up this one, and it's just a beauty. And one of the focuses I have, and in fact, this goes with sketch cards too, and I think you'll see it here with the OA pieces. Outside of Danny as a character, my main focus is mutants. So when it comes to OA, I think all but a couple of examples are going to be mutant characters. X-Men, New Mutants, villains. I love Sabretooth, for example. I got a really nice piece of him. I think I put it in here. I'm not sure. But yeah, mutants are sort of my secondary focus as a category. And being able to grab a forge like this, I saw a comment in there, where are his feet? Is this done by Lee Field? That's a good point. But hey, you know what? If he knows his weaknesses, hey, please. And yeah, I love the Blackbird in the background. Forge is a great character, and I love that he got. They did him well with the new X-Men '97.
Yeah, very true. This is nice. What's the size on something like this?
It is. It's right here next to me. It looks like it's about 6x9.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's Joe. It's fantastic.
I love it.
Bill, weren't these all owned by our very own Nick Barucci at one point?
Nick bought either all of them or most of them when they were first announced, and because there were, I think, 15 or 20 of them that he really wanted to keep for himself. So he bought them all and sold, kind of sold a few as time went by, just to kind of recoup his money. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting about Joe, because I think you guys know all of his 2016 art was bought by a single collector. And to my knowledge, no one knows who that is. I'm sure some people do, they want to keep it quiet and keep tabs on it.
This is where Bill and I just nod and we have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, Nick Bruce has talked a lot about that, having done that. I mean, but it is what it is. Sometimes we as collectors have to overextend ourselves to get the deal that we want for the pieces that we want. And, you go into it knowing that you're going to be unloading a few here or there. And I think that, in Nick's case, it was probably, half or 2/3 of it at the end of the day that he did eventually sell. But I mean, just the idea of having one owner on that many, pieces of art from Joe from that set would have been pretty damn cool. I mean, I would have liked to have seen him all in one place.
I mean that would be. Imagine if you could find or convince if you know the 2016 person to put a gallery at OAX. That would be one hell of a gallery. Just a thought.
Okay.
In case they're out here listening, right?
We can maybe make it happen. You never know. You never know. But sticking with the mutant theme, right? We've got, and this is a Hildebrandt piece.
This is a Hildebrandt. Yep.
Wonderful.
From Greg. This was 94 masterpieces. So you can sort of see from this picture why I had to convince my guy to get the non-reflective glass finally, because I hate the fact that you can see that reflection there. It just kills me. So all of my pieces are getting redone. But this piece, I mean, the net result of that is you can't really see the color. I mean, I could pull it down on the wall and show it on camera if people want to see just how blue it is, because it's totally washed out there. You really can't appreciate it. But if you've seen any of their work in person, you just know how vibrant it is.
Alberto wants to know how big it is. Yeah.
That one looks more like an 8x10.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it would.
I mean,
be larger.
If you want to switch over.
Huh.
If you want to put me on camera real quick, that's it.
Nice.
Yeah, not super big. Again, trading card for scale.
Yeah, how many hands is it? It's not. Yeah, I mean, but Hildebrandt's work. I mean, that's going to be really vibrant.
Yeah, the blue's just the pop.
Right.
The shading on the ice where it's sort of got the glare and the yellow. It's so good. All right, now I have to...
And the idea of using a moonlight as well. I mean, it's an interesting choice. You put artists like the Hildebrandts on a card set, they're going to take a different approach to the art that a comic book illustrator might not think about, because they're thinking about color and everything, and that's what makes that piece really incredible, I think. So that's a good piece to have in your collection.
Yeah, it's about an 8x10. I just put a piece of 8.5 by 11 over it, and it covers it completely with a little left. So, wow. Good piece. Yeah, and I was super thrilled when the owner of this was willing to make a deal for it.
Well, now this is a controversial figure here on the channel, because I'm a huge fan of Cyclops.
There's absolutely no controversy at all.
We just, it's funny. I am not the biggest Cyclops fan. I kind of think
Bill is.
Right.
I am. He's the team's best all-time leader.
He is. My problem with him is sometimes he's such a Boy Scout. Like, I like when he's actually, kind of nasty and a little bit of a jerk. Because sometimes he's just so milquetoast, Mm-hmm. I've got a word bingo and I had to get that word in there. So, but this is from the 2000 X-Men trading card game. Tom Fleming, absolutely love his work. I mean, Tom's still doing art. He just did some in some recent sets. And just something about this, I just love how it screams sort of late 90s vibe. It really grabs me. And this was, I think, one of the first, at least one of the earliest pieces I have that was a trading card. I think it was Wizards of the Coast that released this one.
Oh, very nice. Now this next one is
Baboon.
Right. I went a little bit out of order here, but yes, this is a piece that I picked up in 2022, early 2022, from Simone, and it finally came out a month or two ago in the newest Marvel Flair set called Dark Phoenix. I just love the multiple characters. I mean, Simone, I've been surprised at how divisive he can be. Like some people, like I love the style, but some people look at this and they're like, Cyclops' hand looks like a hot mess, right? And I mean, if you just look at it standalone, oh yeah, it kind of is, but that's part of his style and his appeal to me. So it's all part of the package.
Yeah, I wouldn't even think that, honestly. I mean, having seen a lot of Simone's work, that's just part and parcel for his approach to the way he paints, the way he handles it,
and obviously it matches his first run on X-Men as well, which was my absolute favorite.
Very true.
Yeah, I adore this piece. The whole, again, I grew up in the time. I just started right after, I think, Death of Phoenix, or right around the time, but I quickly went back and kind of saw that as well. So that whole era and the Byrne era, Byrne and Austin, I mean, those guys were just unbelievable.
That's beautiful.
So
I thought they might say something about Phoenix not having a nose, and
she's so faded back. Yeah,
Simone gets away with it. I mean, it's very effective.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with any piece, I mean, so Nora and I, we have a friend who is very hypercritical, and he's like, do you ever have that friend who can like find the one thing about you that you don't like about yourself, and he just pokes at it? He does that with art, right? And he will find that one thing in art, right? Like he's that friend who'll be like, hey, your calves are big, and you're like, I know, why do you say that? Right? And sort of he can do that with art. He's like, oh, look at that no nose, or look at that mouth, right? And it's just, oh, it drives you crazy.
Didn't everyone have a mother like that growing up?
Exactly. But I mean, if you look hard enough, that you could always find something in most pieces that you can nitpick, either as a fan or as a collector. But to me, it's all about the whole. Does it have, again, I love the beautiful art. It also ties back to the story. It has that nostalgia factor. I mean, that's sort of all the different layers for me when I look at a piece on whether I want it. It has to be more than just the art for me. It has to have some other tie-in. So this one, I put this up here because this is an interesting story in that it just shows how an artist's work can get repurposed. So this is Danny Moonstar by an artist named Maria Wolf. I think she's at The Real Maria Wolf on Instagram. So she did this, and originally it was the New Mutants comic cover in the upper left-hand corner. And then they repurposed it for the Marvel Voices issue down below. And I believe she knew about them, but the two on the right, I believe she had no idea about. So they first, in the top right, they repurposed it for their online Marvel Snap game. So that it's a digital card. And then just in the most recent Fleer Ultra Wolverine, it became an insert for this Ultra Stars insert. And when I told her about that, she was like, wait, can you send me a picture of the card? I had no idea. And it's just interesting to me that once the artist sort of sign it away, it can be reused without them even knowing it. But I mean, for me, I love it because I bought it because it was comic cover, and now it's on two different cards. So for me, it's perfect. And just the level of detail she does is just absolutely staggering.
Yeah, I love this image. It's I'd love to see it in person. There seems to be so much detail crammed into this thing. It's the color images don't do it justice. This is it's fantastic.
Matt, is this a flatbed scan of the original art? Or
so that one, I believe I got from Maria. I don't know if it was a photo or a scan, but it's definitely not a photo that I took because, again, that whole glare issue. But yeah, I think if you could see a much better image of it, you'd see even more detail.
I got that impression, and I wondered if it was actually bled off the art page like that, or this is a cropped image, or whether this is a photograph that's been corrected by the artist.
It's probably a little cropped, but yeah, there, once you see it zoomed in like that, yeah. I mean, and her art, if anyone is interested, she's repped by a site called Inky Knuckles, INKY Knuckles.
Do you know those guys, Bill? Because I haven't heard from them in like the last 2 years.
I know those guys. They don't get back to me when I ask him questions. But I actually picked up a piece of art from them. Well, a year ago that I got about 6 months ago.
Matt Lesniewski.
Yes, Matt Lesniewski. Yes, I love
We love
that.
we love Inky Knuckles. They have some of the best sort of, I'll call them graphic. But, Matthew Allison was with them, but Zafino.
Yes,
Zafino is a god, and he's repped with Inky Knuckles. But thanks for pointing that out. I actually didn't remember that.
I didn't either, but yeah, but it you see the style, and then that kind of makes sense. But yeah, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, it's almost like having it here. But let's see here. What is the next piece? We're still staying in the mutant realm.
Yeah.
I think
So this is one, and even the scan isn't the best, unfortunately, because I did try to force it with that glass. So this is from an EPAC only set. So Upper Deck, for those who don't know, on cards, they sell cards physically through distributors and stores, but they also have a site called Upper Deck EPAC where they sell digital versions that a lot of times some are only digital, some are represented by actual physical cards at a warehouse. And they have some sets that are only available on their EPAC site. And this is one called Unbound. So it runs for a full year. This is the third year it's been running. And this is a set. This is the card from that set. So Fred Ian, which is actually Fred and Leroy. It's a brother combo.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I got one from season 2, which was the demon bear looking down on Danny, and she's just this tiny character. And what I love about this is almost sort of like a reverse view from the other side with her pose there. So they make a great combination set, the two pieces.
They're French, if I remember right, and I think Kirby's art reps them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
This is beautiful, really.
It is. I did not know that it was two people.
Yes.
So I've learned a lot of things this evening.
This is actually one of my most recent pickups, and this is one.
Is this digital?
Yeah. So no, it's markers and some paint as well. But the card itself is only digital. So this is for the
got it.
For the Topps Chrome set. So it's the original art is physical, but only digital. But now that, well, I don't know if it's still official, but it's like the worst kept secret. But now that Topps/Fanatics supposedly, I guess I have to say, is getting the Marvel license, I'm hoping that cards like this will get repurposed as physical cards, which would be, all the better. And this is Bella Rochlin. She's an artist. She lives in Israel, and I knew her mainly from sketch cards, where her sketch cards are wildly popular. And then when she started showing some of these on Instagram, I knew I had to absolutely have them. So I picked up Rogue. I got a Scarlet Witch and a Psylocke. Absolutely love them. The vibrant. I mean, you can tell from this picture that it's just vibrant. And actually, that's the newest picture I have, because that's how easy it is to photograph with that new glass.
I think 99.98% of the art of hers that I've seen is sketch card art. This is really this is very nice to see. And I know the community is rabid for her sketch cards.
Yep. For sure.
At first I was like, what is going on? Until I looked a bit deeper. Yeah.
And, again, I also love when you go from an artist who you only knew from sketches and seeing them graduate to those bigger pieces.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so good.
Now, the next one, just how the hell did you get this?
So this, right? So this is obviously, as Lewis mentioned, Fausto and I actually, the first time we met up was at Heroes Con 3 years ago. And we got together and we did a table for Marvel cards in general, and also at the time I was still doing the admin for Marvel Card Collectors Worldwide, so we just sort of did it as a collector meetup, really. And then a collector we know brought over this guy, and he's like, "Oh, this is an artist friend of mine. His name's Dan. He sent some magic stuff." And so we were looking through his portfolio. Super nice guy. He hung out with us the whole day. And lo and behold, a couple months later, I get a message, hey, Matt, remember me? You know, all of a sudden I'm invited to this gallery event where he's going to be selling his original art. So it's like, oh, I guess it pays to be nice to people, because, you know, that's how I got invited to this opportunity. And, you know, going around that show, this piece kept calling to me. I mean, Fausto will tell you the story. Like, I would walk all around the gallery and I kept stopping back at this one piece. And I just, the Jim Lee costumes, the composition of it, I knew I had to have this. It was pricey, but then it's funny the way my OCD brain works. I'm like, okay, well, what if I say it's real? I mean, there's 3 characters here, and they're going to be 3 cards. So if I divide the price by 3, that's what really I'm paying per character. So it's not that bad, right? Right? You like what I did there? Yeah, and that, I mean, still to this day, my absolute favorite piece.
Should be.
Yeah, I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so much. I mean, all of his just have so much vibrancy. I remember when it first came out, a lot of people were knocking it, saying, "Oh, it looks digital." I mean, it does, but I think that's a testament to his painting skill, rather than a negative. So yeah.
Yeah, even just today, Palumbo was posted that he was getting a lot of flack that the Conan piece he just posted looked like it was either digital or AI. And it's like, what is wrong with you? Do you know how much Palumbo's railed against AI? You know his lineage. Let me put it that way. His skill, and he posted an entire video because he does them anyway, right? You know how many videos he's posted, tutorials about oil painting, and he's very generous about that. And he just posted the whole thing. It's bizarre. It is bizarre.
I mean,
sometimes it's a language though, kind of thing, Matt. You know, like once you see Dos Santos in person, you kind of get how it is that he captures what he's capturing: textures, surfaces, light, the lack of like excessive paint on a surface, making it as thin as possible, how he blends. You kind of get the language, but you need to see it once to really grasp it.
Yeah. I mean, collectors as a whole, we're a funny group, right? And people can get really hung up on certain things, especially like, you know, Dan got, it's funny how many people were just taking shots at him when this first came out, both for that, and then people were understandably upset that there was only a small group that got access to the paintings. I mean, I get it, but the way they were attacking him as an individual for the choices he was making, to me, was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I felt like there had been a lot of kissing and making up, partly because Dan was so actively involved in the community, and the popularity of 2022 seemed pretty strong. Yeah. But I hear you. Yes.
Yeah. This another one. Just wanted to put a single one of X23, and it's at the framer right now. What is nice about this? So Dan's original vision of this was that there would be blood on the claws and blood going down from those 2 holes in the wall where she had gutted the guy. So he touched it up before he sent it to me and put those back in the painting. So wow. It is a little different from the printed version, but I absolutely love that about it. And there were a few instances like that, like Wolverine, the painting, he had arrows sticking out of his back and he had to digitally remove those for the card. So there are a few original pieces where they are different from the final published.
Well, this is, again, Dan's just an amazing talent.
Yeah, and just a great guy too. Just so good.
Yeah.
So then I think after this, we're going to transition over to the comic side. Whereas among a lot of my card collecting friends, a lot don't cross that line, right? It's card art only. Whereas to me, having sort of started on the comic side, It's just natural to me to collect both. We were talking about E.M. Gist earlier. This is one of his pieces. This is from X-Men Blue Origins #1. This is, I believe, a variant cover art.
Let me know when you want to let this one go.
Yeah, right? It's just absolutely stunning. It's such a great take on how to show off her powers. It's just so, I just love it. It's just
I mean, and there's an age of illustration clearly that he's drawn off from, and it's brilliant. It's just simple and brilliant.
Yeah. And even, Lewis was talking about, I think you guys mentioned you had some early Gist stuff and how he's gotten better. Even in like the last 2 years, he's gone from amazing to double amazing. Like
Did you see the Moon Knight piece that Lewis just got?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Is he vying to become a masterpiece artist?
I
don't know that we're getting masterpiece. Is he vying for Fanatics Tops to set aside 18 months of his life to do 150 cards?
Believe me, we'd love it. I can't remember if he was ever asked or not, but I mean the way he does this art, even from, I've got a couple pieces from Fleer Ultra Avengers, which was 2022, which are stunning and I absolutely love, but just the jump from there to these newer pieces that I have, I've got 2 others that he did recently and one more coming actually. It's just it's amazing how just in such a small period of time he can get that much better when he was already incredible.
Indeed.
There's only, believe it or not, there's only like 3 more pieces left.
Yeah, I didn't go too crazy on it.
Oh, it was a good survey, I hear.
Yeah. So this is one of my. I just was thrilled when I saw this one. Peach Momoko. This is from the Gambit limited series. This is, I think, #1. Again, a variant cover. I think it's was Comic Tom 101 variant cover. But it's just, I love Peach's work. I've got her Cable trading card original from the Marvel anime set. So the opportunity to get one of her published covers, to me, it was just too good to get up, and just a great pairing with Gambit and Rogue. Just absolutely adore this one. I've got one other of hers as well. It's Jubilee and Rom the Space Knight.
Oh, no kidding.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
was that an unpublished piece? Was that just
it's published? I believe Marvel just got the rights back to Rom.
Yeah. So then, I'm sorry. Can I ask, with Peach? I always wonder. You didn't get this in person from her, right? Did you?
No, I got this from the Comic Tom guys who.
Right. Okay. Right. Thank you.
No, I did get the opportunity to meet Peach at New York a year or 2 ago, but I didn't buy from her.
Yeah, I think that that was the event that kind of that was a setback. I'll put it that way. There was a lot of people descended upon her at the New York Comic Con, and I think she put some new rules in place that have been working very well for her. And I think that she canceled coming to New York this year for whatever reasons. She's very popular, Matt.
There were a few people who had it was busy, but there were a few people who were super swamped.
Yeah.
And 2 of the ones who are most swamped, they're both sketch card artists who I absolutely love, Katie Cook and Andy Price. And
wow.
they're doing work on My Little Pony now, and their lines were unbelievable. Oh my God.
I bet. I mean, that's a perfect event for Katie.
Yeah.
You think Katie's good for OAX?
I'm
not sure. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, she's been out of the sketch card game for a while, and I mean, certainly it really depends if you want to keep it more hero focused. I mean, she's obviously still doing comics and killing it, but yeah, it's worth talking about. Oh yeah, that's the other piece. Yep.
Thanks, Bill. That's awesome. No kidding. I didn't expect to see that tonight.
Yeah,
neither did I.
And I was looking for a Jubilee piece, and I saw this, and I think between the time I saw it and the time I purchased it might have been 4 seconds.
No hesitation.
No.
Yeah.
No. And I do remember reading ROM as a kid. So, I mean, I was in that era where it came out. So.
Well, this next piece looks a little familiar.
There we go. Yep, Massafera. Yep. Again, this was another one where I wanted a Felipe piece. Pixie's a mutant, so the colors just appealed to me. And yeah,
Did you get this one?
Biggest,
you got it from Ramita Man, this one as well, or?
I believe that's where I got it. Yeah.
I hadn't seen an original until San Diego, and I'll just say they were always impressed me when I saw them on screen, and but my eyes glazed a little bit. But after I saw them in person, I really changed. It's beautiful in person.
Yeah, I'm always impressed when like the lighting effects actually look bright somehow. Like my non-artist brain just melts when I see that. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah,
it's fantastic. I mean, people compare him to Alex Ross, but I just feel like he has a level of confidence in going really stark with his colors, and and it still works. He's an amazing painter.
Yeah, Billy, like Ross, Delato, Massafera, Bianchi, they've all carved out really distinct painted art spaces in comics.
True.
This, I think Massafera is quite distinct. Yeah.
For sure. And even on this, like the gossamer wings and seeing the different color effects and the different wings, just so good.
Here's the last piece we're going to look at tonight.
Yeah, so this is just showing that I also collect like black and white original comic art. I saw this one. This one actually came via Kirby. It's Gerardo Sandoval who she reps, and the second I saw this, I emailed her back and said I want it. I don't even think I asked the price. I just said give me. And this one's actually finally being shipped. I think it's being shipped.
Oh, hot off the press
today. Yeah. So this is just an image.
Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you.
So why that reaction? Was it purely on the image or history with the artist?
It's not. Honestly, I didn't even know the artist. It's just Wolverine. Obviously, has always been a favorite. I mean, he's amazing, and just the way. And I've always been a fan of Venom. So seeing this Venomized Wolverine combination, just something about it. The bold inks on it. It just pops to me. Like I love strong inks on original pieces. Like one artist from Lord of the Rings is a guy named Dave Fox, does really, really bold inks. And this just sort of reminds me of that. And just the way, he uses the black and white to show the different shadings and the lighting effects with the negative space. Everything about this just immediately appealed to me.
Yeah, the combination of the two characters could have gone south pretty easily, and this is totally believable.
Yeah. I love strong inks. I cannot lie, guys. Yeah, wow. I mean, I didn't want to go over the top. I mean, I could pull down another piece or two if we wanted, but I figured that's a pretty good.
Yeah, sample. Please. What catches your eye? Of course, we want to see stuff. We're not even at 2 hours left. We have at least 7 minutes.
Let's see. I mean, I've got a couple more gifts.
Your collection outside sketch cards, no Sienkiewicz, right?
I have one or two. No, I have one sort of rough pencil thing he did at a con, but no published Sienkiewicz, no. So this is the other Freddie and I was talking about, like with Danny and the Demon Bear.
Did you ask him to do that, or that's
something?
No,
this was from Unbound Season 2 for the Demon Bear character.
Well, that's lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. So,
yeah. I think Bill would admire that piece.
Yeah, no, I would think so too. Now everybody's giving you a hard time in the chat about not having a CAF.
About not having what?
Having a gallery.
I do. It's under. I mean, it's relatively new, but let me.
I thought I had seen a registration at one point. I didn't get a chance to check before the show, or I would have put a link in the description for you.
Let me see what it's under. Hang on. Log in. My Gmail, and then let's see. Manage my galleries.
And they're mad at you for not selling art tonight too.
There you go. How can I find my name here?
Are you logged in? If you're logged in, it's right underneath the logo.
Is it my username?
Oh, your first and last name.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's Matt Fuller. My profile. Username is my Gmail.
If you log on, Matt, please post the. Oh, he can't post the link, can he, Bill?
You can put it in the private chat, and
Okay.
I can get it into the stream here.
You want me to give you my seller ID? It's embarrassing that I can't figure this out.
You're gonna take up the remaining 4 minutes and 56 seconds.
Yeah, here's my gallery. I'll send it to you in private chat.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do something. You know, that you're gonna be disappointed, but your gallery has actually been turned off, and it wasn't. There's an activation, and it was telling you that it wasn't active. So I have activated it for you. So now you can give everybody the link to that.
Okay.
Why was it turned off, Bill?
The overall gallery, you know how like you can have your overall gallery off, so everything's off, or you can turn a room on and off, or a piece on and off. Well, the overall gallery was actually off.
So Matt turned it off?
He didn't turn it on. He didn't activate it.
Oh, I see. Did you know that, Matt?
I did not. That was news to me.
Now you're going to be
so-
getting all kinds of comments and likes, and you're going to be inundated by emails. Now.
Yeah, and sell me, right?
Stuff like that. Or I love this. Please keep me in mind if you're ever going to think of
there you go.
parting with it.
I've sent one or two of those myself. Let's see what else. I was talking about the Palombos. So this is in my gallery. So this is the size of his prelims. So this is an interesting one as far as
That's
the prelims
very
go,
nice.
because this was one of either only one or two prelims he did that was rejected. And I believe the way it was described to me is it was rejected for being too sexy of a version of X23, sort of the looking over the back. So they ended up doing a different version for the published card art. So this one was never published. But
See, there's nothing particularly sexy about that.
No, it's the curves, I think,
I was going to say the artist succeeding led to it being rejected.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no, I don't know. My Lord.
I didn't think sexy when I saw it, but yeah.
It's another day.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
That's great.
Where's Aranga?
Yeah. You're gonna get some people giving you their partial social security numbers and credit card numbers and giving deposits to be higher up in the queue for when something. You don't sell very much of the sketch art, the original art collection, Matt. That's not really.
No, I haven't sold any yet. But
Yeah.
like you said, I think Record might be on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Are you buying directly from her? I've forgotten.
These ones, yes, she was selling them on her Instagram.
Yeah.
So she did it actually a little bit of an interesting way, that she did sort of a 24-hour auction by bidding in the comments of her Instagram. And in a way, it encouraged last-minute sniping. And I mean, to be honest, those were the first three pieces, and I don't think people really caught on to the process right away. So I was able to snap them all up.
Good. She's young and she's got a very bright future.
Oh, absolutely. This one was out there for a while. Andy Kubert. This is one that was, I think, for sale for a while. So I think people have probably seen this before. But
I haven't.
This is the original card art from, oh God, I don't even remember what set it was. I think one of the early X-Men sets.
Very cool. Yeah. And it looks like you make it a point to frame and put the art up.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, you said 80 pieces approximately, right, of card art, and it looks like you may have at least that many framed and up.
I've got about 40, I think about 50 in this room. And then I've got the way I've tried to do it is just card art in this room, and then my comic art is in the other room. And I've probably got about 10 that I haven't framed that are just in a folio. Because at some point I realized, okay, I can't frame everything because I'm going to run out of space. So
I wanted to ask about displaying sketch cards, because I know that some people make some really interesting, almost bespoke type, like when there's triple cards or quads, but just generally speaking, do you display them in glass cases or any of that outside of binders?
no. So the whole sketch card process was pretty convoluted for me. For years, I had them. I had some in displays in little places, but most of them were actually in sort of plastic containers like this because I needed to scan them all, and the goal was to get them in binders. So I finally committed to doing that in 2022, and less than a month ago, I finally finished it. And now every sketch card is in a binder in the other room.
Okay, good. I'm looking, Bill's got your gallery up, and every piece has either 0 or 1 views. That might have been a sign that there was a problem.
They'll have a lot more tomorrow.
That's great. That's great. I know that I thought you've been on some sort of scanning rampage. I remember.
Yep. I decided to rescan all 15,000 sketch cards.
Okay, so now.
Wow.
So, okay, I've got an Epson 10,000 XL here, and it has a transparency adapter where you can do like slides and all sorts of medical size materials. And do you have a system with sketch cards where you can scan multiple at a time and automate the process of cropping them? Or
I probably could, but I don't. So
come on, Matt.
I take
15,000 cards.
Yep. I tried to do, I want to say I did 25 a day for the better part of 2 years. I was in no rush. And it's even worse, though, because not only would I scan them, but then I'd open them in Photoshop and I would resize them and I would tweak.
Yeah, you can automate that, though. You can automate that.
But the problem is, like, the levels and the color balance isn't always the same. It depends on the card. So on some of them, I might push the level up from 0 to 20. On others, it might be better if I tweak the contrast. I always, play around with all of them to sort of get it. The goal is I want to see what's on screen as close to what I'm seeing here as possible. Because, it doesn't always translate well on a scanner.
That is admirable and totally fucking insane. And what I hear, I've done this work before for art books and things. I hear that there's 15,000 impeccably scanned print-ready cards. That's what I just heard.
Yep.
Because it's just an enormous amount of work. That's.
They just nailed it in chat. Like the OCD isn't a joke. it's there for a reason.
Up to his name. There's moniker.
I know that we need to get going, but I wanted to ask one more question.
Fire.
Bill, unless you have one, of course, please, but just for myself. Mm-hmm. I've been giving a lot of thought to what it is about, this format. Now, I grew up on baseball cards and some basketball, football, hockey, but especially baseball. And then, Marvel cards here and there for 15 years, and then the sketch cards. And, I'm a guy who loves large oil paintings at my heart, right? I'm at my heart, I'm the guy who wants to see more, expansive oil type paintings done than anything. And yet when I have this, I love this. There's something about this. And I've been spending a ridiculous amount of time trying to think about it, just on a almost like a meditating alone in a room and thinking about it level. And you've had time to think about it, and I wonder if you have, even if it's just a few words or something about what it is about this.
I think part of it is, like you said, I think if you grew up with cards, you're very familiar with that format. Like, I remember my first cards were both the Star Wars ones when they came out, and then baseball cards as well. Like, I can't even remember what set it is, but I remember there was one set where like every third card was Rod Carew, and I've hated Rod Carew to this day because he had so many cards in this one set.
Remember the 82 in action Rod Carew? It was one of the best cards of the last 40 years. Sorry.
So, having the familiarity with the size is certainly there. I think part of it for me is think about comparatively doing a detail piece on a large canvas versus a small one. Like there's a certain level of technical proficiency you have to be able to reproduce the art on such a small scale, right? And early on, I think it really benefited comic book artists because this is really just the size of a panel, right? So I think that it's got that link as well. It really is, like you could see picturing them there. For me, it also, tying back to that panel, they also remind me of storyboards. In fact, one of the things I did on Blowout is I took all my sketch cards, and for the first 2 Lord of the Rings movies, I put a copy of the script on, and I storyboarded it out with sketch cards because they were the perfect size for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that size just sort of calls back to the comics and all the originals, and someone else said it. I mean, it's also super convenient, right? You could put 9 pieces of art on a page in a binder, and you've just got so much in such a small space, right? I love this, but I built this room about a year ago and I'm almost out of space. I built it just for this. And, whereas I've got...
Where are all the binders? That's the question.
They're in the other room, yeah. So
15,000 cards. There's a lot of binders.
Yeah, no, it's about, 6.5 foot tall bookshelves, and I got 3 of them, and they're filled, and I still need 1 more. So, but I also have, it's not just sketches. I mean, I also do collect binder sets of cards, so I've got a fair amount of those as well.
Amazing. Well, I think I don't think I've talked to anybody who's collected anywhere near that many sketch cards. That's just fantastic.
There are some other collectors out there who've got that much. Certainly, I mean, I'm under no illusions that I somehow have the best. There's always a bigger fish, and to me, it's not even about the number. It's just about how much I like them, right? The fact that I was able to get rid of the Star Wars and the Rick and Morty, all those, just told me that they weren't that important. But in the end, I kept these 2 core sets because every one of them has some callback to something important to me. In fact, that's why outside of the Lord of the Rings ones, for a while, I tried to collect master sets with 1 sketch from every artist, but I actually gave that up and in fact forced myself to sell some of them because I realized that wasn't my love of the cards. That really was my OCD, and I really was just ticking a box to have it. So that by letting go of that and then just focusing on the ones that really just grabbed me, I've been much, much happier as a collector for sure.
Let me. What next time we talk, Matt, we'll talk about Sienkiewicz a little bit. You can tell me what your exact wants are on a pyramid, and believe me, I'm always in the lookout, so I can let you know if something comes up too.
I appreciate that. I do have a Hembeck card. I have 1 Fred Hembeck sketch card. Marvel #1 fan. I have it's from Marvel Bronze Age. It's Cannonball.
There you go.
Yep, that's the only set he did sketch cards for. 2014 Marvel Bronze Age.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
Only 1 deck, Bill. It's crazy.
Everybody's got to have 1, at least 1.
Oh yeah, I mean, growing as a kid though, Hembeck was everywhere, right? Because if you read the letters, he was always there. It's like, who is this weird guy? But you sort of fell in love with him, even though you didn't know who he was, right? It's like, if this guy can draw comics, shit, I could draw comics. Come on. But
he gave us all hope.
Yeah, but then when you really look at it, it's like, no, he has such. There really is some real artistic talent behind his style. I think I really like his work.
So. Oh yeah. And just a great brain, a great perspective. Can you imagine creating as many cards as he has, and still every single one of them, nearly everyone, I should say, just being fun? Yeah.
And he's one of the few artists who's found a really good niche in doing just his own cards, not on licensed stock.
Yeah,
absolutely love them. So that's always great to see.
Bill, we're at 2 hour 10. Do we got more to talk about really here, or
No, I think we can call it. We can definitely
Awesome.
call it.
we have to thank Matt, because Jose did get called away last second for an out of town business trip, and Matt just immediately said, "Yep, I'll do it." So thank you, Matt. We would have had you on anyway, but to do it like that was great. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate it. It's great to be here.
Right, and we got I'm going to get the link into the show description, so anybody who's visiting this and watching it after the fact, head on over to Matt's CAF gallery. Encourage him to post more. Throw some likes on
I'll
stuff,
keep getting them on.
comments. Yeah, just don't pester him about wanting to buy anything.
Unless it's the wrecker. I'll
Give
get the
him
wrecker.
a little bit of time, right? Exactly, and yeah, I apologize for not having a bigger alert at the top that says your overall gallery is not turned on, but we're going to fix that. Even Marcus pointed out, we'll fix that in the app to make it really obvious that it's not activated. But again, thanks, Matt. This was a lot of fun, and like Ezra said, I appreciate you coming in here at the last second. But I'm looking forward to getting to hang out with you at OAX, and I'm looking forward to the sketch card community, I guess, engaging even more so in 2025 with us in the show there.
Got some goodies coming, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, lots of fun stuff in the works. So, all right. Well, as always, everybody in the chat, we appreciate you hanging out with us this evening, and we'll be back at it again tomorrow. I'll have Anthony Snyder on, and for those of you who really hate Cyclops, there is a page for you in tomorrow's art drop. I won't tell you from what, but it's a memorable Cyclops page that for all you haters out there, we all want to buy it if you can afford it. So tune into that. But have a wonderful evening. Thanks, everybody.